Alrighty, it's 5 p.m. and I'll call this meeting to order. Alrighty, we'll begin with the pledge. Mr. Fresher, can you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty, Lisa, do we have any delegated? Okay. Alrighty, we'll move to reports then. Calhoun Gilmer Career Center Administrative Council.
Calhoun Gilmer Career Center met and discussed many positive programs going on at the center. We heard presentations from the NetTech group there, which is the technology-based class. We discussed the upcoming career day, or then the past career day, and it has already went, the career day's already happened. It was a very good success. We also talked about summer school, trying to coordinate an effort that our kids could get maybe down there and take some of their courses that they have to offer. They had some really neat courses, and they also had some courses that we probably don't think about, like they're getting hunter safety and those types of things set up that I think maybe some of our kids might really want to take advantage of. We also talked about the upcoming 23-24 school year calendar and our process with adopting. They've already adopted in Calhoun the calendar that we have as proposed. All the calendar we just have are just a couple days off. So as soon as we get that, we're going to try to get that to Mr. Stearns. Overall productive meeting. You have anything else to add?
I gotta say, this is probably my second or third meeting with them since I picked up since Tom resigned, and so I'm just now. Usually, especially when I'm at the college, first couple of these committee meetings, I try to just kind of be quiet and just see how these things operate, and getting a feel for it now. And I gotta say, Tony's leadership now with this group has been great, and one of the things I used to hear is, I wish Gilmer could be more a part of that career center. And I think we need to follow Tony's lead. And yeah, there's a lot of great things happening out there, a lot of things our students can take advantage of. And I think there's also, we talked about them at the last meeting, a lot of great collaborations we can make with the college. So I think we're going into a really, really good direction here.
Yes.
All right, is there anything else on the Calhoun Gilmer Career Center? All right, if not, we'll move on to the Leading Creek Governance Committee. That committee met on Tuesday, February 14th. We started out with the principal's report. Right now, their current enrollment is 127 students. 21 of those students are from Gilmer County and 106 are from Lewis County. She then moved on to test scores. They finished their CIAs. There was student increases in grade level achievement on all of those test scores, and they're working with their consultants, to help improve those scores. And with, I think it's their iReady stuff that they use to get those, to be on the grade levels and stuff that they should be. There was no changes in any of their personnel. She mentioned on the curriculum side that their teachers will be attending a math conference, and their principal did not get registered on time, but is a wait list to attend with some of those teachers for that math conference. There was no changes in their finances, no changes in any facility, and no changes for their bus schedules. They then moved on to new business. Principal Freeland spoke about the Story Walks initiative that they're participating in. There will be 4 rotating displays that I guess go out through, that go to each different Lewis County school, and Leading Creek Elementary will be the site of one of those rotations. That I guess they partnered with the Historical Society, if I remember correctly, in some of that, to give those students a different approach and the stories and different things like that. Mrs. Freeland also brought up a question regarding their crisis plan, and she would like to use a Gilmer County bus that is parked normally at Leading Creek every day. So she's wants to work with Dr. Minnie and Mr. Frazier to see if they can incorporate that bus into their crisis response plan and make sure that there's a driver to get them to their evacuation site, if need be. And other than that, it was relatively short, and that seems to be all the updates that I can give you at this time. Unless Mr. Manning has anything else that he can think of.
No, that was it.
Alrighty, so we'll move on to the extension service.
On February 16th, I attended the Extension Service Committee meeting out at the Bill and Reva Bennett building. I'm going to pass down, you can just take one and pass it down. This is a nice little packet they put together about things that the Extension Service does in the schools and with the county. At the meeting, basically there were, two items, and that was approving the budget, which then needed to come to us for approval, and personnel. The personnel has not changed, and the budget we will discuss, I think later in the agenda when we need to approve that. There's a couple things we need to talk about there. They did Heritage Day at Gilmer County Elementary School. I attended the Heritage Day. It was very nice. The FFA kids were there as well as the 4-H kids. Julie Perrin organized that and headed that up. They had animals and games, demonstrations. There was everything from blacksmith to farm animals to leather working. A guy there that did trapping and taught the kids about the traps and brought hides in. Just a very nice time for the kids and lets them get hands-on and real-world experience. They also did the trunk or treat last October. I was there as well. A lot of people from the community set up in a safe place where the kids can just go around to the different vehicles and trick or treat that way. The 4-H camp, which has been a yearly thing as long as I can remember in Gilmer County, gives the kids something to look forward to and gives them some structure in the summertime. Lots of classes and information for them there. And Kids Day at the Folk Festival, and I think they're trying to expand on that for this year. I noticed the Folk Festival was doing the junior bells and maybe baby bells now to get the young people more involved. They had clover bud camps. They do a school enrichment at the school. And of course, the big one for the year is the Gilmer County Farm Show. And that allows 4-H students and FFA students who have raised animals throughout the year to come together and to show those animals, and not only show them, but sell them to the community. Gives them an idea of responsibility and budgeting, real world farming experience. So it's a very nice companionship that we have with the Extension Office, and it's a good addition to our community.
All right, anything else for extension service? All right, that will conclude our reports. At this time, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have letter A, minutes from February 13th work session and regular meeting.
I make a motion to approve the February 13th regular meeting and February 13th work session minutes.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the February 13th regular meeting and work session minutes. Is there any further discussion or amendments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Mr. Chesser.
Good evening. What you had in your packets was a schedule of checks to be written, and just a follow-up formal approval of December 2022 financial report, where we missed that, getting that in the packet. Kind of skipped one. I was asked with the schedule of checks to be written to elaborate on the payment to Truist by Mr. Freshour, and just kind of to bring everybody up to speed, make sure we're all on the same page. That payment to Truist is part of the 1.4 million that we borrowed to complete the HVAC LED upgrade. That payment is $115,110. That is an annual payment. That's not monthly, so don't get scared. That's a one-time per year payment. It's set up on the same process for payment as our QZAB loan from where we built the elementary school. But that's what that $115,110, and I think it's 23 cents. But that's what that payment is. If anybody has any questions with that, if you want to see the amortization schedule for it, or when it's expected to be paid off, but one down, 14 more to go.
Answers that.
Yes.
14 to go.
So, are there any other questions?
Make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the treasurer's report. Is there any further discussion or amendments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to new business. Letter A, settlement offer, Jewel litigation. Dr. Minnie, do you have?
Yeah, I'm just, the settlement, non-disclosure agreement needs to be signed, the settlement and the non-disclosure agreement. And I've worked with the litigators, and they asked for me, the superintendent, to be able to sign that settlement agreement and non-disclosure agreement. A part of that settlement is a non-disclosure agreement, and this is just to ask for permission for me to sign that agreement.
I make a motion to allow Superintendent Minnie to sign the settlement agreement and non-disclosure agreement for the Jewel litigation.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to allow the superintendent to sign the settlement agreement for the Jewel litigation. Is there any further discussion or amendments to the main motion?
Have they talked any money on that? Like what that settlement is there? Have they
That
thrown
would
out
be
any
the
numbers?
non-disclosure.
Yeah, that's the non-disclosure part.
Oh, the no, so no numbers. I mean, like amount. Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All righty. We will now move on to animal processing classroom recommendation.
The non-disclosure, they're not gonna disclose how much they're gonna.
Yeah, no, it's not. Animal processing bid came in just a little bit over. We have been working with moving different funds and so on and so forth, and we've been successful with that. And I'd like to make a motion to accept the lowest bid offered by United Construction Company for $883,432 with a project completion date of 210 days to complete the construction on the animal processing classroom at Gilmer County High School.
What was the figure again?
$883,432.
Thank you.
I make a motion to accept the lowest bid offered by United Construction Company for $883,432 with the project completed in 210 days to complete the construction on the animal processing classroom at Gilmer County High School.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept the lowest bid. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Alrighty. Letter C, approval of extension service budget.
So fortunately, Dustin did the math, and they made an error where at the bottom where you see dues and subscriptions, that $250 under amount requested and amount approved should be zero, because the total that they are requesting from us is still $25,000. So I would make a motion that the board accept the annual memorandum of agreement with the West Virginia University Cooperative Extension Service with the
amendment of the dues and subscriptions being changed to 0 under amount requested and amount approved, making the total requested $25,000.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, and we will now move on to, there's no old and unfinished business, so we're to personnel. Dr. Minnie.
Under professional, Amanda Sink, resignation, special education teacher, Gilmer County Elementary School, effective 3/10/23.
Make a motion to approve the professional portion of the personnel agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept the professional portion of the personnel agenda. Is there any further discussion to the main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right.
All right, under service, we don't have any extracurricular. Tori, my recommendations go as following. Tori Williams, head coach, Mini Titan girls track coach. Tori Williams, head Mini Titan boys track coach. Amanda Stoddard, head Mini Titan softball coach. Andy Clem, auxiliary varsity baseball coach. Jacob Wolf, resignation, head varsity golf coach.
Make a motion to approve the extracurricular portion of the personnel agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept the extracurricular portion of the personnel agenda. Is there any further discussion to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All righty.
One more section there, permission to post auxiliary varsity track coach.
Make a motion that we accept the permission to post portion of the personnel agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the permission to post section of the personnel agenda. Is there any further discussion to the main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right. We'll now move on to the superintendent's update.
Just a few things this evening. One, the Senate Bill 41, we're really trying to get that across the finish line. It is still stuck in Finance Committee. I've done just about all I can do to get that pushed along. Of course, that will cap our enrollment at 1,200, which would help us with the declining population that Gilmer County is seeing now and in the future, what our numbers look like. In order to get this across, I don't know, we've got just a few days. Crossover day, I believe, is Wednesday. We're hoping to get some local supporters behind it. If you can get time to make a phone call or two, this will allow us to keep our current funding where it's at, and all of our current employees employed, and so on and so forth, even in the midst of losing enrollment. So that's just a quick update on that bill. It is still stuck in finance, and just trying to get it out of there. Quick update on the storage building. We had talked, we have been meeting about that, reorganizing what our rebid would look like to get it to come into a number that was able to be close to what we need in order to build that facility. We look to probably have something ready for the first meeting in April, so we can then get started on that building. Another quick update, Neola. We've had our training on Neola. It is a lot of work, guys, and we are ready to press forward with it. We've got our super users. We are going to be looking at creating a timeline in the future to see when we can get this complete. We initially said, what's an average? He said 9 months. We said, could we have our policies ready before school? It's really up to us. It is going through document by document. It's the whole process. We probably will need to look at additional time to bring the committee in. We'll need to look at additional, supplements and things like that to make sure the work gets done. It is a significant amount of work. Once this gets complete, it's going to be very nice, because then the updates every year, it'll be highlighted, it'll be all set up. But it is an initial amount of work, a lot of work, to redo every single line item in those policies through that whole booklet. So, but we've got logged on. We've even done some policy. So, we've got a long ways to go. So that's just an update on that.
Okay, with that, do you have like a schedule when you want that policy committee to convene, or would you just work with you?
We just need to set a date. We're gonna have to convene and come up with a timeline and come up with, some expectations for us.
Sure.
And it's a tentative timeline. There's a massive amount of stuff to go through. We're talking about delegating these out to each person in their field of expertise, and then trying to kick them out.
Okay. All right. Well, we're now to continuous improvement benchmark pilot review, and that is Mr. Price.
Yes, I don't need you guys to go here.
You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this all really came about by looking at our school data. We try to get you guys a few times a year what the benchmark data looks like. And it requires a tremendous amount of conversation and explaining how to look at it. And we're trying to correlate our benchmark data with the general summative assessment and some of the data massage that we have to do where we raise our own benchmarks. In English language arts, we have to raise it from 40th to 55th. In math, we have to raise it from 40th to 60th. Really, in data and education, that's a bad practice. That's really not something that we want to have to do. And so we've been investigating this, and it came up in some conversation in the leadership team. Dr. Minnie and I had some good conversation about it, have brought this to our LSIC as well, working with Shelley on it as well. Re-examining the tool that we're using to make big instructional decisions. We give a benchmark to all of our students at the beginning of the school year. And the tool that we use is STAR. So you'll hear us talk about STAR data. We do that 3 times a year, and as we give those benchmarks, we make some big instructional decisions. What kind of groups we have our students on, what kind of skills are we working on, where are we good, and where are we not good, where are we needing to put our focus. And STAR has not really evolved much in the past, I would say. Well, I'm familiar with it for about 12 years or so. It really hasn't changed much in that time. So we're looking at the iReady program as a benchmark. iReady is very clever. It is not only a benchmark, but it also has an online instructional component. The pilot that we're starting with is a small pilot. It's grades 3 through 5. And our focus is on math. However, they offered us to have the English language arts component to that as well. And we said, sure, we'll try that out as well. But really the priority here is trying out this benchmark assessment and the online instructional component in math in grades 3 through 5. We have an interventionist at the school. Her name is Mrs. Roberts, and she works with students in grades 3 through 5, primarily on math. And so she has really dove right into this. I met with her late last week. She's coming up with lessons by looking at the data. Full disclosure, it tells you what kind of lessons to make. It makes a lesson plan. So it's really a supportive program, and we're seeing some initial data come in there. We've gotten some benchmarks already taken for that last week. We had some folks from Curriculum Associates, which is the parent company to iReady. They came in last week. On Wednesday, we were able to get 3 half-day subs to meet with teachers. So we met with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade teachers. Last week in my office, had great discussion. It's really awesome to see when teachers get excited about a tool that they can use in their classroom. And that is exactly what we have right now. They are excited about it. The way that this has come about, I think, has been very organic. It's come up in just teachers having conversation and asking questions. Hey, is this the best data to use? And then where do I go from here? One of the things that STAR kind of lacks in is what's the next step? Okay, you get that data, you get that, and it's a decent tool. But those next steps with iReady, there's a lesson already that we can make. It will make a lesson, and it's a high quality lesson. There's a third component to this that we're not really ready for that yet, and that is the curriculum part of that. There is a core curriculum that goes with iReady called Ready Math, and in reading it's Ready Reading. But just to tell you, next year is a math curriculum review. And I've said to teachers, and I'll say this to you guys as well, Gilmer County Schools, or Gilmer County Elementary, I can speak for the elementary school, deserves the best math curriculum that we can afford, that money can buy and that we can afford. I think we have really strong teachers, and we need the strongest tools that we can have. And I've used this example, about power tools, but it's like going from Ryobi, which it'll work, right, to a Milwaukee. That's the one you want. That's the best tool. That's the one that's gonna get you the best results, gonna last the best, it's the higher quality tool. So it is a better tool. We have this completely free. For this year, the benchmark will be open if, as we go through this process, bring this back to our leadership teams, to our LSIC, to you folks, to kind of keep you in the loop with how it's going. They will open up this this program, I believe, countywide, for free and for an entire year. So keeping everybody in the loop with what that looks like, making some decisions about potentially renewing with STAR, not renewing with STAR. You have to have some focus on things. It might be too much if you had two benchmarks, and so that's a consideration to make as well. There would need to be some STAR assessments because in our partnership with Save the Children, there's a 21st Century grant that's involved, and some of the reporting to that has to be done through STAR. So it may be a matter of them paying for STAR just for the students in the after-school program and in the summer school program. If that's the deal, I think we can live with that.
Sounds exciting. I'm looking
It is.
forward to it.
Yeah.
I like when you use analogies.
I thought the tool might land with you. I didn't know it was gonna come, but right.
And we've also, just to add to that, Tyson, we've got a similar pilot going at the middle school as well. iReady currently goes through the 9th grade. They're trying to build an algebra component, but we've got a similar situation going on at the high school as well. I just asked Mr. Price, because he was on the front lines of actually rolling out the very first time we benchmarked with this program, and it went really well. So getting the data, I was on the same day that they started, I logged on myself to the benchmark, and I was seeing the data as the kids was taking the benchmark. And I think that the parents are really gonna like the parent report and things like that. It's got really good high quality reporting for them to know what to do next as well.
So throughout the end of this year, we'll have STAR, and then a few of the kids will take the iReady. Will they take the STAR as well?
We will. This year, we talked about this. That's a good question. We had some discussion last Friday in our curriculum team meeting at the elementary school. And we looked at the assessment handbook. We've already committed to some things. A STAR test takes a student typically about 20 to 25 minutes. If you look at some data, and I can see that a student took 25 minutes on a STAR math test, I would say that student took their time. We make a lot of important instructional decisions based on a 25-minute period. iReady takes a lot longer than that. iReady's gonna take about an hour. But again, we're making a lot of really important decisions, and it's a lot more of a comprehensive, thorough look at that. So we did have that conversation. The iReady benchmark would not be until after the general summative assessment. So we're talking end of May. So essentially, the assessment timeline from here to the end of the school year is, right now we're doing an iReady benchmark. In March, as we have in our assessment handbook, we're gonna do the STAR benchmark, just as we had planned to do it. We'll do the GSA at the end of the year, which would be late April, early May. Then after that, would be our last iReady benchmark.
I'm curious to compare and be able
Well,
to
it's a
look.
lot,
and-
don't be surprised if you hear that it's a lot harder benchmark series, because it is harder. So
The thing I've
be
told teachers is
aware of
don't
it.
panic. When you see that proficiency data, don't panic. Let's plan, let's get deliberate with it. But I've seen it in Calhoun County. We made this transition as well in Calhoun County. I know Tony made that transition in Braxton County as well. We went from STAR to iReady in Calhoun County. And when we saw the report where iReady would say your benchmark's at, or your proficiency's at 20%, and STAR would say you're at 40%. And you take the GSA, and it's somewhere closer to 20%. So it's a much more authentic
Yeah.
look, and that's what we need. We We don't need to inflate things.
Yeah.
We need an honest look at what our efficiency is and what our needs are. And this is the honest look at it.
Did you
Good.
say this was being used already?
It's piloted at both schools. It's a pilot, yeah.
Okay.
There's 2 or 3 grades using it, just a pilot at this, for the remainder of the year. And then they have already offered us to have a full year pilot countywide next year, where we could just receive it for free and we would be allowed to use it.
Professional development, one of the requirements, I think the only requirement for the free pilot is that we would have to pay for
Start
some
training.
professional development.
Okay.
Which I think is absolutely appropriate. That's a great deal.
And if you would look at the presentation, out of the top 10 counties ranked in math, there are about 6 or 7 of them
Yeah.
have used this.
That's what we saw down in Charleston.
And,
right?
so, you know, I think it's something that we have needed to get closely correlated with the GSA. I think that during our presentation, and Tyson, you might tell me this is wrong, but the number that he provided was 0.08. That's how close it was, 1 percentage point from being directly correlated with the GSA test scores. And for our teachers to make decisions based on grouping and how we get kids skills and how we solve skill deficits, we need something really close to figure it out.
And I know you want to keep short, this will be the last thing I say. The biggest difference that I saw in working with these salesmen on this, and they answer all your questions. If they don't know it, they'll get you an answer, is that iReady is a criterion referenced assessment, and STAR is more of a norm referenced assessment. So we're really trying to change a norm curve on STAR, where with iReady, it's based on the criteria of standards proficiency. And so when we're looking at standards proficiency, and with iReady, from an instructional perspective, that's a much better practice.
I'm excited.
Yeah, and we're excited to look at the fuller curriculum with Ready Math, because one of the things that, as a new superintendent, I've heard that, let's look at the curriculum. It's kind of like the parent gap to what's being taught is not what it used to be. So how to solve that, and I think that that's got some of those solves in it.
And I think it would be beneficial, to the board, if they have a salesperson or a representative that after we get some of that data back, that would come present at a board meeting, just a quick brief report on, before we launch that, countywide, so we can kind of see and compare. I think that would be beneficial. Alrighty. Do we
I should have some input, because I think Colton's taking both, so.
Okay. Alrighty, so we'll move on to board member comment. Any board members have comments?
Well, I didn't think about it till just right now. I should have brought my packet, but we all attended the conference, the Winter State Board Association Conference in Charleston. And everybody feel free to chime in. I mean, there was a lot of great information there. Long days. I think we started at 11 and ended at 8 that night, but some really phenomenal presenters, especially about mental health and everything that kids now are dealing with, a lot of which we never dealt with, and are kind of grasping at straws to help them. And we're hoping we can maybe get some information from that guy to help our county out.
But they were at the state level. They were talking about the Ready Read campaign, which is through iReady, right?
No, that is Ready Right.
Read. Yeah.
And that's the literacy campaign.
Yeah, big literacy campaign at the state level right now. And then once again on the psych part of it, you always hear every generation go, man, what's wrong with that generation? The older generation talking about the younger generation, and that guy kind of put a perspective on it, saying that, we need to quit saying that. We need to be like, okay, what is this generation missing? What can we do to help this generation instead of
And I think
belittling
as a
it.
board, we're very committed to finding the answers to these difficult problems that we're dealing with, and we may not always get it right with the kids, but we're certainly trying, and we're searching for answers. And Dr. Minnie has provided invaluable leadership to us, and we all enjoyed attending the conference with him and being able to bring that information back to our county to help the kids. I think that should be everybody's number one concern, the kids.
Also, another thing, talk radio, anybody that listens to it, Hoppy. But, you know, we've had several expulsion hearings and what such not over vaping, Delta 8, Delta 9, or whatever it is, you know, whichever the one with more THC is, you know, is in it. But that's also, you know, that's not just a thing here in Gilmer County and the county surroundings. Like, it's a state problem, and they are trying to do things in Charleston on a daily basis to help us with that. And I think we just need to follow that, so as soon as we can get that help, you know, we can hit the ground running with whatever they decide and go with. But I know that's a big thing right now, is the Delta 8 and how to take care of it, control it.
And I think there's a bill in the legislature
Yeah.
that will make it illegal,
Yeah.
because an adult can go in and legally purchase it right now. And then, of course, it's trickling down into the
Yeah,
school
that's a
system.
big part of the problem, is right now there is nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
The marketing towards kids is another big part, is that, you know, how
Yeah.
they're marketing it, like, to the youth, is what a lot of it was about too, so. I think that's it.
Any further board member comments? Hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and second that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries.